This is the foldable for section 2.5. And what you're going to do is fold it towards the center. Like this. So again, this is section 2.5, and it's called absolute value. And an absolute value just looks like two long lines like this. And I call it a washing machine. And in this washing machine, you can put in dirty clothes or even clean clothes. Has that ever happened to you when you put some clothes to a side, you're like, oh, I'll wear this on Monday. And then you decide not to. Your mom says, where's your dirty clothes? Like, is this clean or dirty? Who cares? Let's just put it in there. And you end up washing clean clothes. Has that ever happened to you? So it happens a lot. And why does that matter is because of what we're going to do first. It says evaluate the expression. We're going to substitute in a value and then simplify. So how do we do that? We have an expression right here, and it says, if x is equal to -2, what would this be? We're going to plug in the value 2, absolute value 3 minus -2. So minus was part of the expression. -2 was the value of x. And then the absolute value bar. Plus the absolute value of -2. If you don't mind, please write your absolute values a little bit higher than your numbers and a little bit lower than your numbers. If you don't do that, what tends to happen is that it looks like a 1 and you don't do it correctly. Okay, so we got 2, the absolute value bar, and then we have 3 minus a -2. We should all have a calculator. 3 minus a -2. So I can tell whether you put a minus or a negative by how little it is. You got a big one for the minus and a little one for the negative. You hit enter and you got 5. Plus, and then the absolute value of a -2. To get rid of those bars, what we got to do is wash the clothes. So that 2 is outside of the washing machine, so you leave it alone. Everybody okay with this? It's not inside the washing machine, so we don't need to wash it. The 5 is inside the washing machine. Once we clean that 5, what are we going to get? A +5. It was clean. It stays clean. The plus sign was outside of the absolute value bars. So it's gonna be left alone. And then I got a dirty 2 inside of that washing machine. Let's call the dirty clothes negative and the clean clothes positive. So if it was a dirty 2, what's gonna come out? A +2. Ms. Hernandez, then why didn't you put parentheses on there? We don't need them. We're just going to add 2, so we don't need to put parentheses. The reason that I put parentheses here is because I'm going to end up multiplying. So 2 times 5 is 10 plus 2. And then 10 plus 2, 12. Let's try it again. And if you open it up, we've got the front part, and it says, evaluate each expression. X is equal to -1, Y is equal to 2, and Z is equal to -3. 10 minus the absolute value of 5. Z is -3 plus 3. We do the absolute value bars first. They're sort of like parentheses, and they're strong parentheses. That's why they're standing up straight. We got 10 minus is outside the absolute value, so we leave it alone. Absolute value. We can put all of this in the calculator, but I would like for us to do order of operations. We have to do parentheses first, which means multiply. 5 times -3 is a -15. Plus 3. 10 minus the absolute value, and then we got 15 plus 3, which is negative 12. Once we have that one number, that's when we're going to put it in the washing machine. And so I have 10 minus. 10 minus is outside of that washing machine, so we leave it alone. And then once we wash that negative 12, what are we going to get? 12. Some of you want to put that in parentheses. It makes more sense in your brain if you put it in parentheses. So please feel free to do so, but we don't need them. That's why I won't write them. 10 minus 12 is? Negative 2. Okay, so I have x is a negative 1, so I'm going to plug it in, the absolute value of negative 1 minus, is part of the expression, 2, like I said, some of you like to put it in parentheses, plus 6. We do negative 1 minus 2, and I just want to make sure that we know how to put that in the calculator. Negative 1 has that little sign, minus 2 has the big one, because that's the operation, negative 3. So negative 3 plus 6. All right, we have that one number by itself. We're going to put it in the washing machine. What do we get out? A positive 3. So 3 plus 6. 3 plus 6 is? 9. All right, I'm going to scoot it over just a little bit so I have people a little behind and they can finish writing it up, and then we'll talk about this one. Absolute value of negative 2, y is a 2, plus x is a negative 1, plus a z, which is a negative 3. So some of you are able to simplify this expression, but you don't have to since we're just doing order of operation. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4 plus a negative 1. Close those absolute value bars, plus a negative 3. Negative 4 plus a negative 1. So negative 4 plus a negative 1 equals a negative 5. The absolute value of negative 5 plus the negative 3. We have that number by itself. What do we do now? It's a positive 5. To get it out of the washing machine, it came out clean. So 5 plus that negative 3. 5 plus negative 3 is a 2. We'll substitute in the values. 3, absolute value of z is negative 3 minus x is negative 1 plus absolute value of 2 minus, and then y is 2. Okay, so that minus is part of the expression, and that negative is part of the value of x. So 3, absolute value. And then we're going to go ahead and do what's inside the absolute value bars. Negative 3 minus a negative 1 gives you a negative 2. Plus, and then 2 minus 2 is 0. Now we're taking things out of that washing machine. So 3, and to get that negative 2 out of the washing machine, it becomes positive 2. So why did I put it in parentheses? Why? Because we're going to multiply by that 3. Very good. And then we're getting that 0 out of the washing machine, so it's going to come out clean, up positive 0. Don't forget that plus sign, though, has nothing to do with that getting it out of the washing machine. That's out of the washing machine, so it stays the same. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 0. 6 plus 0 is 6. So this is called evaluating the expression. The next thing that we're going to do is solve. So we're going to start with this one out here. What we have to do first is add 3 to both sides because it works like really strong parentheses. So what this says is whatever you put in the washing machine is going to be positive 10. So this is a little tricky. To get rid of those absolute value bars, we have to do the opposite. Negative 10 is equal to x minus 5 is equal to 10. Why? Well, think about it just this way. If I had a clean 10, what would come out? A clean 10, a positive 10. But how about if it was dirty? What would come out? A positive 10. And that's why this side is possible. So when you get it out of that washing machine, it has to be clean. Out of that washing machine, it has to be clean. So, but what could have gone in? A negative or a positive. Okay, now how do you solve this? We're going to add 5, and I think everybody's okay with adding 5 to the right. But we also write 5 to the left. Negative 10 plus 5 is a negative 5. That equals x, and that equals 15. So those are your 2 answers. You don't have to write this down. You do not have to write this down. This is just for your understanding. What this means is that if I put a negative 5 minus 5 in the absolute value, what do I get? A negative 10? Would that give me a positive 10 answer? Yes. How about if I plugged in a positive 15? 15 minus 5. 15 minus 5 is a positive 10 in the absolute value bars. Would that give me a positive 10? Yes. So that's why you have 2 possible answers for this scenario. All right, now this one. When you do need to write this one down, you do need to write this one down. What you're looking for is that washing machine by itself. Once the washing machine is by itself, you're going to do the opposite. So negative 7 is equal to 3 minus 2x is equal to 7. I go ahead and I make those lines that separate the equation because you know what to do. We're going to have to subtract 3 because it was a positive 3 to both sides. That means we got to do it on this side. Negative 7 minus 3 is a negative 10. That equals a negative 2x. That equals 4. Well, if I ignore this part right here, you know to divide by negative 2. So we just do that again to this side. You could write them separately, but this is how I would like for you to write them. So 5 is equal to x is equal to negative 2. How do you draw this on the number line? We're going to do negative 2, 1, negative 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is equal, so you put a closed circle, and it is equal, so you put a closed circle at the 5 and at the negative 2. Pretty easy, huh? Since we don't have to move to the right or to the left because of the arrows, these are just dots on the number line. All right, let's try one more. We need that absolute value by itself first. So we're going to add 5. I have 2, the absolute value of 2g minus 3 is equal to 26. So these work just like parentheses, so I can divide by 2. 2g minus 3 is still in the absolute value bar, but now it's equal to 13. Now that I have this by itself, that washing machine that's by itself, that's when we can talk about clean clothes or dirty clothes coming in. So this would be negative 13 is equal to 2g minus 3, is equal to 13. Plus 3 to both sides. Well, it's all 3 sides. This gives me a negative 10 is equal to 2g is equal to 16. Then we're going to divide by 2, right? So we do divide by 2 to both the other 2 sides. Negative 5 is equal to g is equal to 7. And I'm not going to graph it just because I ran out of space, but you just put the numbers on the number line, and they're closed circles. I'm sorry?
Would that be 8?
Yes, thank you. Good job. Thank you for being alert and aware. Let me do this one now. So what you're looking for is that the absolute values are by itself. That washing machine is by itself. It is. So we can go ahead and put that opposite side. Wait a minute. What's the other side supposed to be?
Positive? 5?
When you put something in the washing machine, can it come out dirty?
No.
No. This has no solution.